you use social media today as a company or as an individual? How many of you feel comfortable doing so?
Can I ask a different question? Because I saw hands go like this. How many of you use it just for personal? All right, and how many of you really do it for your companies?
Ah,
That's,
thank you.
there's a big
There
difference.
you go.
Big difference.
Thank you very much.
That's the only reason why I'm here. That's
I'm done.
Not true. You can go now.
How many of you had your brands, your personal brands or your company's brands trashed through social media at this point?
Hired.
Excellent. Trashed, okay. Good, well, I'm grateful for a little bit of the level setting here, because what we want to do is, in our next 45 minutes or so together, make those of you who don't feel comfortable about it at least aware of what your options are, and then those of you who may want to help share some crisis communications experience with us, because I'll tell you one thing, and I've been with that academic network for a couple of years now, and my personal and brand crisis happened 4 years ago, back at the very, very early stages of the blogosphere. And so there is nothing like that in the world. And 4.5 years later, I am still one of the biggest advocates for social media in the world. My background is in technology, 25 years in technology, doing a lot of online marketing since the mid-90s. And because I've been in technology, whenever I speak to organizations or folks who have not been steeped in it for a very long time, it's my favorite thing to do, because I love to teach and to be the bearer of good news. I'm 52 years old, I'm not 23 years old, so I've had a little bit of experience in both marketing, PR, as well as product development. And I think we are in a whole new world, and I'll let the rest of us tell a little bit about ourselves, but I'm excited to have this panel and can't wait to start answering questions. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, I'm Twittering this. I'm live tweeting a panel, and those of us in technology do this a lot, and so as you're asking questions, I'll probably capture them and then probably capture the answers. So when you go back, you can follow what happened here almost live. Wow.
Mia. Janet. My name is Mia Novic. I am with Nielsen Online, and we're living, eating, breathing social media every day. Specifically, I focus on pharma and healthcare, which can be a little more challenging within the social media space. What we're finding is there's really, obviously, a trend towards social media across the board, but within healthcare and pharma, people are really starting to open up their minds to it, open up their strategy to it, and it's really an exciting time to be involved in social media, and just really looking forward to an open discussion, and we want you guys to throw us the curveballs, because it seems that I was talking with my colleague Pete Blackshaw about his last discussion here at Socap, which I believe was about 1.5 years ago. I'm not sure if anybody was at that meeting, and we had some conversation before I came here this week, and he was giving me a recap, and he said, was talking about what he had spoke to, and I said, this is still relevant. It's the same issues that we're coming across today. I wonder how much progress there has been within the Socap community towards social media, so we're really excited to see what progress has been and how we can, help facilitate a discussion that will better inform your plans when you leave here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Gidez. My role at Hill & Knowlton, and if you're not familiar with Hill & Knowlton, it's a global communications consultancy. My role is heading up our U.S. risk management and crisis communications practice group. Essentially what we do, we are the folks who walk behind the elephant with the shovel at the circus. I'm joined here today in the second row by my colleague from our Chicago office, Ron Buttrell, who is the head of our food safety practice group, and Ron knows more about this, frankly, than I do, and so Ron, chime in at any moment that you think worthwhile. It's interesting. I'll posit that if you have this session at next year's conference, the discussion will be quite different than it is today, and it certainly would be different than if you had it 12 months ago. Frankly, if you think back on your high school science instructions. And you remember the discussion about the formation of the universe, of the solar systems. It all started out in a very gaseous state. And over time, the molecules formed into solids, and the solids formed into planets, and the planets formed into solar systems. And my view about the internet and social media and all the other platforms and vehicles is that it's still very much in a gaseous state. So it's really hard to draw any conclusions about the role of social media in a recall, because it is still, we're all learning every day. Many of us are making mistakes or learning from other mistakes. Certainly the regulatory regimes don't know which end is up. And the last point I'll make is, before we get to the discussion, is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Social media to some consumer demographics is a much more comfortable space than with others. So using social media in a recall for product X might make all the sense in the world, but for product Y, it really doesn't make sense at all. But it's not a fad, it's not a gimmick, it is here. It is growing more influential every day. If you look at the demographics, it's shifting from, it's not just the Generation Y crowd anymore, it's moving up the ladder. And it should be taken seriously, just not at the exception of all the other means of media. It's really additive, it doesn't replace anything else.
Hi, and I'm Linnea Johnson. I'm the director of Unilever. And I'm basically on the panel. I'm looking at Brian and still smiling at him because fortunately or unfortunately, we've had a lot of experience with recalls over the last few years. And I'll be the first to tell you that the use of social media, we are, even as a big company, floundering with it. I'm sure everybody, I assume there's a lot of people here who say, yeah, I do it, but we really don't. I don't have what's called a Unilever brand within the United States. If you went to somebody and said, hi, do you buy Unilever? Most of you guys don't even know what it is, but if I asked you if you bought Dove or Hellmann's Mayonnaise or Wishbone, and so that's what I'm struggling with is, I'm responsible for consumer services for all those brands in the US, Canada, and now Mexico. The brands, Dove is a global brand, so the people who run that website actually sit over in the UK as opposed to the US. Hellmann's is a local brand, so I know those brand managers. And frankly, none of our brands, except for Dove, is big into social media, and the social media that they do on Dove is much more marketing oriented, so it's much more controlled by PR until something blows up and then I get an email that says, please fix this. So we're struggling with it too, so this is an interaction. I will be able to say some of the things that worked and haven't worked on some of our recent recalls. How many people here had peanuts? Yeah, I think there was 5,000 items recalled, so pretty much anybody who has a nut in their house was affected. So again, that's why we're hoping this is interactive. I think, Brian, you asked me for comic relief, so that's why I'll lighten the panel up a little bit.
That was great, Linnea. Thank you.